So, I normally say welcome. I'm not going to say that this time. I'm going to start out with I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but this is our review of M Night Shyamalan's The Last Airbender.
Again with this. This is
Yes. We did the commentary and we thought, that could be it. Then I was like, no, everybody's expecting us to do the big podcast and just we're doing it.
we're doing it.
We're doing
We're
it.
doing it. We suffer for our art.
We do, and we've definitely done a lot of suffering. And let me tell you,
We need a
after
lot
this
of coffee.
podcast is over with, I cannot wait to never watch this movie again.
Oh yeah.
So
Absolutely.
let's get this started. The Last Airbender, not called Avatar: The Last Airbender because they didn't want it confused with James Cameron's Avatar trilogy. I don't think that was ever going to be an issue. But directed by M Night Shyamalan, hot off his magnum opus of The Happening, starring Marky Mark Wahlberg, with the famous "What? No" scene. We knew M Night was in trouble at this point. I mean, we kind of thought with The Village, maybe this guy's not all that. Then he did The Happening, and The Happening was not happening at all. And then they said, well, he's going to do Avatar: The Last Airbender live action. And all the fan base just collectively went, yeah.
Question. At the
Answer.
time, because were you into Avatar at the time?
I was.
No, hang on.
into
You
Avatar.
saw the movie first, did you? Or you saw the series?
I saw the series. I did not see the whole series, though. I don't exactly remember when. It was shortly after the movie because I didn't see the movie in theaters. Actually, I take it back. I did not see the movie in theaters, but around 2011, 2012, somewhere around there, I was binging it on Netflix because they were about to take it off. And I got through the whole series, and then I was like, oh, yeah, there was a movie. I wonder what that was like. No, bad. That was a bad thought.
I remember it being announced. Like, I never saw the movie, as you know. This whole show was built around me discovering Avatar for the first time. But I do remember him being announced and me going, good luck with that.
Yeah.
And
yeah, it was a partnership made in hell, let me tell you. And speaking of hell, let's just jump in both feet into the fiery pit of The Last Airbender. We start out with Katara and Sokka out in the wastelands of the South Pole. First,
where else would a couple of white kids be, Jace?
Of course, because the melanin in their skin is perfectly suited for this environment. Well, here's the problem right away. It's that instantly you notice that the joy and the fun has been stripped from these characters, leaving nothing behind but this bloody husk that is just absolutely the worst. And I'm just now noticing a lot of images that I had decided to upload are not here. That is okay. I can deal with it.
Even our streaming platform hates this movie, Jason.
Yes, I don't blame it. But yes, Katara and Sokka played by Jackson Rathbone. What is going on here?
And
I believe even my computer hates this movie. Oh my gosh. Played by Jackson
Peltz.
Oh yes. Thank you for saving me right there. Yeah. Both of them very talented actors, given absolutely nothing to work with.
Yeah, I don't know who gets served worse in this movie, Katara or Sokka. Like, and right now I'm thinking,
oh, yes, you're right. It's not Sokka, it's Sokka. Because we have pronunciation issues in this movie. Because M. Night Shyamalan was like, well, I don't care that this show ran for 3 years and it has a dedicated fan base. I'm going to mispronounce every other name because that is how it's supposed to be.
Especially with
Yeah.
I reckon that's how they wrote it in the script. It had 7 A's and then Nang.
Ah!
Anga.
Yeah, no. Hold on,
Horrible.
I got it.
No, but as characters, Katara, I think, is really represented the worst in this. She gets nothing of substance in this movie to do. Not even her fight scenes are substantial.
No. No one is serviced well, especially this dude right here. I absolutely adore Dev Patel. Dev Patel is one of the best underappreciated actors of our time. He's got this unique look. He has this amazing intensity, and when I'll be honest, whenever I heard he was playing Zuko, which I'm kind of surprised they didn't call him Zuko, but whenever I found out that he's playing Zuko, I thought, okay, okay, I'm all right with that.
I
And
could
this
see
guy
him bald
tries.
head with a
Yeah,
ponytail.
this guy tries. He tries his level best with what he is given, but what he is given is a dump truck full of flying bison poo. That's all he's given. And I feel so bad for him. Just
There's no.
devastatingly bad.
What makes that character so great in the first season that I've seen, well, I fell in love with him, was because of the complexity of the character. And this isn't a slight against Dev Patel, it's more a slight against the director. We are never shown any of that complexity.
No,
He is played one note.
no,
Just
I
just
I com-
angry.
completely agree, and I want to echo what you just said. Everything I say in this podcast is not leveled against these actors because I did not look at a single actor in this movie and thought not a one of them is not giving it their best. You can only do so much with what you're given. And I want to talk about our Ong here. Ong, who is played by Noah Ringer. Um, I I just want to talk about this kid because he's black belt, he's taekwondo, he's physically able to do everything that Aang can do aside from the airbending, obviously. Um, and I want you to put yourself in this kid's shoes because you audition to play Aang in the Last Airbender movie. You get the part. It is a dream come true. He had to have known as he was shooting this movie that it was not going to be good. He had to have known.
I reckon most of the actors,
Yeah.
to get through the shooting schedule, are just convincing themselves it'll work out.
Yeah, maybe they'll fix it in post. I don't know. But I mean, I consider it like a Jake Lloyd situation. You are cast into a dream film and it falls apart right in front of you. So I am not 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 slighting any of these actors. I'm not slighting any of these kid actors. I'm going to say again, I think Dev Patel is a fantastic actor. I was just saying Cliff Curtis. I love Cliff Curtis. I love Jackson Rathbone. All of them are fantastic actors who just happen to be in a bad movie. I don't blame any of them. I don't blame Noah Ringer. I blame M Night Shyamalan. I
Mm.
blame his arrogance and I blame his ignorance. That is what sank this movie.
Especially with Aang. I was going to say Ang. Aang
In this
is
movie,
the
it's
fact
Ong. Yes.
the childlike wonder and almost innocence of is again not represented in this film at all. Like we never get to see the light-hearted, joyous version of the Avatar. That's Jesus. It's one of the reasons it's added mystery to the first season was going, is this kid really going to save the world? Because
Yeah.
he's a goofy kid.
And I want to
That's
show you one of my biggest gripes against this movie. And this is a
Mm.
directorial choice. This is not an acting choice. And that is shoving the camera in these actors' faces until the angle looks ridiculous and then telling them to emote. And every time the camera is this close to Aang, he looks like he's about to cry. And
Mm.
it's not the only time. Even at the end of the movie, the final scene we get, Aang looks like he's about to cry. It is not an
Mm.
acting choice. That is directorial.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I just feel like I just have to make that known that I'm not insulting these kids at all. I think
No.
that they know this is not a good movie. I'm telling you right now, kids, which I guess they're adults now, adults, It's not your fault, and I don't blame you for it. I
No.
don't. But I am going to talk about what a piss poor movie this is.
Hey,
And I think you know it's a piss poor movie.
before we move on from Noah, did you know the other big failed blockbuster that poor kid had an opportunity in besides The Last Airbender?
Oh my gosh. He was in Cowboys and Aliens.
This
I
poor
actually
kid.
did know that. I know. And then he never made another movie in his life. And you know what? I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. The kid just basically had the Hollywood experience just compacted into 2 movies, and he's like, I'm out.
I'm out.
I'm out. I don't blame him. I don't know what he's up to nowadays. I hope he's happy. I hope he's living his best life. Um, because anything's got to be better than starring in The Last Airbender and Cowboys and
Well,
Aliens. Both of them just very
well, at the Golden Raspberry Awards, he was part of the worst screen couple. He was nominated for that.
don't nominate
That's
children
feeling
for
like it's time
Razzies.
to go, isn't it?
Don't
Yeah.
nominate children for Razzies, you
It's pretty cruel.
garbage human beings. Don't do that. Don't.
But you know what?
Okay.
This kid, I would bet this kid is fine because he has a martial arts background. And good thing about
Yes.
martial artists, they teach him about, not to take these things so to heart, So
I hope
I'm hoping the kid is well adjusted, running his own dojo somewhere. That would be amazing.
I truly hope he is. Either that or he's going door to door to everybody who talk crap about him online. It's like, excuse me,
Silent Bob style.
Yeah, it'll be Jay and Silent Bob just coming to just whoop everybody, and he deserves it. Let's see.
All right.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see what he's up to nowadays, and it doesn't really say.
No.
It says he's from Dallas, Texas. So yeah,
Jason,
yeehaw.
scanning this again last night because I didn't make it all the way through.
No.
I really, really struggle to understand how, and I'm hoping you can explain this to me, how they went from scene to scene. The time jumps in this movie are baffling, and I couldn't work out how they were trying to make this because there's no connective tissues. It's like a bunch of vignettes going on. Explain to me, I must be on drugs or something, please.
Well, M. Night was trying to condense the entire season into one movie, which I don't think he even did a good job of that because, as you said, the time was just like jumping back and forth, back and forth. But he just seemed to include things that were unimportant and exclude things that were important. I think that, first of all, obviously, we got the pilot episode. We have got Katara and Sokka getting on this thing that's supposed to be Appa, which I'm gonna say right now looks good from a distance, but then you see his face later on in the movie, and you're just like, oh god, what the? Then we get Hiro, as he's called in this movie. Don't know much about this actor. I know you said something about him. Bad casting.
Yeah, he was the scientist in the cave with Tony Stark.
Oh, that's right. That's who you said. Yeah, it's bad casting. Nothing against the actor. He just didn't fit the part. But then again, M. Night had no respect for Avatar anyway. So they get on board Zuko's ship. Aang escapes and gets on the Bison with Sokka and Katara heading towards the North Pole.
Sorry, can you go back to that picture of them on Upper? Why did they change it? So, like, it's little things like that. It's like you would have spent maybe $10,000-$15,000 building that little thing they're sitting on, the little lounge suite and all that. Yeah, you see it in the series, it's just sitting on a saddle.
Honestly,
like a big round cat bed, it looks like in the animated.
I don't say a lot of nice things about this movie, but honestly, that still right there honestly doesn't look that bad. I don't think. It looks like
you know what?
Play, but, it doesn't.
You know what? It's just, again, because I've had such a horrible experience with it. Now I'm just nitpicking everything. Everything.
No,
if it's
you have forced me to say something nice about it.
Well,
this next part blows my mind. The ineptitude of the storytelling here. So they get to the Southern Air Temple. We meet Momo, who It doesn't look that bad until you look at his face. And then it's like,
Again,
Jesus, what is that? Um, this is where the most, I don't know, if you had not gotten red flags about this movie yet, this should have taken those red flags and stabbed you right in the eyes with them. Because two things happen. Number one, they get to the island, and Katara says, "Could you tell me your name?" How long were they on Appa? They
yeah,
never learned this kid's name? I
yeah.
mean, it would be days, maybe even weeks. Were they calling him "Hey you" the entire time? Was Sokka back there going, "I've been calling him Steve this whole time. I thought that was his name." Secondly, they know the Airbenders are dead, and they don't tell him, which I know that kind of happens in the animated series too, but it just seems so much
Mm.
colder here. Like,
Mm.
M. Night Shyamalan does not understand how human emotions work. Third thing, I know I said 3 things, but there's a third thing here. Aang, upon finding the body of Monk Gyatso, again,
Mm.
I'm just happy they pronounced the name right, goes into the Avatar state, and in the Avatar state, he's supposed to be this invincible, invulnerable force of nature. But in this scene, all he does is just make the wind blow. And it's not even an inconvenience. Katara just walks up to him and goes, could you not do that, please? We also have another problem here, and that is the complete exclusion of a very important character, and that is Avatar Roku. Avatar Roku's not in this movie, and he is replaced by this thing,
Mm.
the
By Smog.
by Smaug. Yeah, which I guess M. Night Shyamalan could have pronounced it Smeh, because that's the sound I made whenever I watched this movie several times. But yeah, we are just
It's just such an uninteresting choice. That's the
yeah,
problem. The choices he makes are not interesting or bold. They're flat and bland, Jason. He goes for the easiest outs. Honestly, I think when he's directing it, he's not paying attention to what's happening on screen. He's paying attention to things he shouldn't be paying attention to in that moment because the attention to detail's lacking, isn't it?
yes, and, I have several theories here. I think that, I don't know these for certain. I think that M. Night probably heard all of the stuff about how he was the next Hitchcock, and he took it to heart, and I think he became very arrogant here. He became arrogant and lazy with his filmmaking because we have seen a marked improvement from him in the last few years, because I
We
think
have.
he was humbled, and I think that he learned something. But yeah, at this point, I honestly think that he probably wrote this script in a couple of weeks.
Well, this
I
is the guy, remember, who wrote Lady in the Water, where the writer he plays saves the world.
know because he's so talented and his talent brings peace to the world. Trying very hard not to say the F word
Yeah.
right
No, look, it's ego directing this. It's not M Night
now. It is
doing it. It's
no,
M Night's ego directing
it is,
this.
it is, it is. Like I said though, I really hope that M. Night was humbled by this experience. But let's move on because we get a huge downgrade in the cast of this movie. There's a character in the animated series named, well, we affectionately named him Admiral Douchebag. It's Admiral Zhao. In the series
Zhao.
played by Jason Isaacs, M. Night Shyamalan, for some reason or another, made the entire Fire Nation South Asian. Okay, interesting choice, but okay. Now Zhao is played by Asif Man. I believe it's pronounced Asif Mandivi. Mandivi, I believe.
You can call him whatever you want, but I call him the pizza owner from Spider-Man 2 who fires Peter Parker. Because that's
Um,
who he was.
the pizza owner from Spider-Man 2 was far more intimidating and had far more screen presence.
Again, it's
Zhao,
choices, isn't it? Based on what you were
Zhao,
saying earlier, Jason. That's not their choice. That's the director's choices being made there.
this is an Eero situation. I don't think that this actor was right for this part. I think the actor did the best he could, but he just lacks the screen presence. I will be honest. Switch them. There's Zhao. There's Iro. Put a beard on.
Yeah.
Perfect. It's fixed. Well, not perfect. It's still M Night Shyamalan's Last Airbender.
Um,
But yeah, it would be much better.
He never shows wisdom. He never shows empathy. He never shows really a lot of love for Zuko. And that's the problem.
Okay, we're talking about Iro. I'm sorry. I thought we were talking about Zhao. I was like, wait a second.
No, sorry. You mentioned Iro about changing him.
You didn't watch the animated series either.
No. I'm just talking Iro especially is just so misguided. And then when you're talking about General Zhao, he's never intimidating for me.
No.
Not once do I find him threatening as a character. In fact, he comes more off as a diplomat, as a negotiating type.
He comes off more as a sniveling henchman, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like he should be working for someone else. And again, it's not the actor's fault. It is miscasting. And the actor's doing their best. And I will get back to Iro here in just a minute. No, not Iro. His name is Iro. Because we get to one of the most frustrating parts of the movie right here. And this is the reinterpretation. I can't remember the name of the episode, but this is the reinterpretation of Aang and the gang coming to the village where all earthbending is forbidden.
Yeah.
And whenever we watch this movie together, because we were talking over our commentary, I said, pick out the logical mistake, the story gap in this story, in this scene, and tell me what's wrong with it. And we both, I'm supposed to cancel Apple TV.
Okay.
Did it. Sorry. Once Monarch was over with, I don't care. I didn't care while Monarch was on either. But yeah, I said, find the, oh my gosh, stop, be quiet. See, even Alexa hates this movie. Now she's talking about this may answer your question. Yes, I do hate The Last Airbender.
Yes.
M Night Shyamalan is a hack. But yeah, I asked, what's the fallacy with this scene? What is the one thing that makes no sense? And you said immediately, well, they're earthbenders who aren't allowed to earthbend, and they're on the earth. Exactly. There we go.
And sets up that horrible scene, Jason.
Yes. And we haven't even talked yet about how this movie nerfs the firebenders in the strangest way that never contributes to the story. They can't summon fire. They have to have an open fire somewhere.
Or a big lighter.
Exactly. So all Aang would have had to have done was like blow out all their fire. And he would have won.
Okay. And not only that is just exactly, not only that, but the fact that the powers that they do have, Jason, none of them are powerful.
No.
When waterbending comes up, it looks like just someone's turned on a hose, but not putting your finger at the end of it to make it spray. Just and the fire the effects look awful. The way they use them look awful, and because of that scene you just put up there becomes one of the worst action scenes I've seen in a very, very long time.
The most frustrating part of all, and again, I had a picture of this, and for some reason it didn't upload because even StreamYards hates this movie, is that one scene where 7 earthbenders do the dance, and then they all go, huh! And this one rock.
It's hilarious.
This one rock just goes.
Doesn't even move with speed, dude. It goes in slow-mo.
It just goes in slow motion. And of course the firebenders are sitting there in its path going, no! And it's, oh my gosh. How did M. Night Shyamalan see this scene during the dailies and thought, that's a good scene. I did a good job. I get cookie.
It's one thing that he didn't see it, but it's another thing that the producers around him either were intimidated by him or not doing their job by going, this is garbage.
You know the Nintendo execs. Not Nintendo, I'm sorry. Nickelodeon. You know
Poor
the
Nintendo.
Nickelodeon execs.
Mario.
You know that the Nickelodeon execs watched the dailies, and they're sitting there just watching, going, M Night Shyamalan, you idiot! What are you doing? I don't know. I think that was pretty good. Shut up. That's what I
So,
assume.
what the studio, Nickelodeon, run by Ren and Stimpy now?
Why not? They got to be doing something nowadays. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Even just, I'm like shaking right now. I'm just like, how does this man make movies anymore?
This is either, and somehow I'm watching it and going, imagine if M. Night just went, you know what, I'm going to troll the biggest, most expensive troll of all time. I'm going to take a beloved franchise and I'm going to pee on it in front of the public.
That's my face when I watch this scene.
You know what? I reckon that when he was when the kid who played Nick, what's his name again? Noah Ringer. I bet you he was joyful, happy, was doing all his moves, and I bet you the casting people will go, "We found it." And again, put on screen and go, "Don't you smile. We're not here to have fun."
Oh, I'm sure M. Night Shyamalan probably walked up to him and was like, "You're never going to be famous. Suck in this movie. Now, what does your face look like?" I'm sorry. I'm trying my best. Why are you so mean to me? I'm just a boy. Again, I'm not making fun of you, Noah. I hope you're watching this, and I want you to know I have nothing but love for you. How did you survive this movie? You survived this movie. You are a winner. You are a winner. Okay.
It's hard to track character arc for him too.
There's no
again, that goes over with all the characters. There's no real natural character arc for anybody. Everything just feels so stilted.
Speaking of just unbelievably stupid decisions made by the director of this movie. In the animated series, Firelord Ozai is this mysterious figure who you never see. You never see him fully. You see his silhouette. You see the back of his head. You just hear this very gravelly Mark Hamill voice.
Feel his presence.
Like, oh my gosh, what a presence. I can't. This man scares me. And M. Night Shyamalan thought, let's put Cliff Curtis in this movie, who's like the most friendly-faced actor of all time. There's Firelord Ozai, everybody. Cliff Curtis, everybody's favorite dad.
Look at Zhao trying to look angry. It does look like they're negotiating a peace treaty.
It looks like Zhao is Ozai's little toady to me.
Yeah, minion.
And again, switch the roles. Switch the roles. Don't show Asif Mandivi's face. Cliff Curtis could have been a really good Zhao. It's just this movie is so miscast. I don't get. I wish I could have worked on this movie just to hear the thought process that went behind these horrible decisions.
Here's the question, though. Let's be fair. Do you think, in your opinion, is there a way to make a single film out of book one?
No.
Is it even possible?
No. Unless you were to just completely rewrite it. They find Aang at the South Pole. They go on this adventure to the North Pole. Maybe one or two stops and have some action sequences, get to the North Pole, learn to waterbend, take on the Fire Nation. That would be it. It would have to be a very simple Indiana Jones-esque movie. But they just try.
You'd have to have a couple of montages at least.
Yeah. And of course, make it fun. Make this a ride we want to go on. Don't just,
one of the biggest
misery.
One of the biggest surprises about Avatar: The Last Airbender to me was how much comedy and how funny it is. Yes. One of the things I fell in love with the series was, we've showed on the show some of the amazing goofy animation stills that we've discovered. Like, there's always a moment of levity and of humor in every single episode. Not here.
This movie is bereft of joy. It is like the joy has been surgically removed from it. And for absolutely no reason other than M. Night Shyamalan is an egotistical emo. That's it.
It's just such an interesting choice to... This movie is targeted as a family movie, and yet you don't actually try to make a film that will appeal to a family.
No.
because this is not a movie you take your kids to and think you're having a good night at the movies. Like, so again, I don't understand who allowed this to happen. It's more than M Night, dude. There's a whole studio to blame for this thing.
The studio, I believe, either didn't care or they were enabling. You know, they thought, oh, we have M Night Shyamalan. I guess The Happening hadn't released in theaters yet. You know, the Lady in the Water was kind of weird. Village was kind of a stumble, but yeah, I mean, he's been nominated for an Academy Award. He's got 3 great movies under his belt. And I will say again, Signs was a great movie. What you say? But yeah, I think
quarters it's good. 3/4 of it's good.
I will ignore what you just said. I choose to ignore that. But I think they thought they had the next Hitchcock. And the fact that Hitchcock wanted to direct a movie based on their hit cartoon, they were enabling him and they were trusting.
Your timing's about right here, because they began filming this in January. Well, development happened, which means he would have been signed on in 2006, because January 2007, that's when they started development for the film. So that's definitely before The Happening. It's a good year before The Crappening.
Yeah.
And then, so they were in too deep with this guy, probably.
Could you imagine the Nickelodeon execs going to a showing of The Happening? Like, I don't know, Ren. This doesn't look very good. What have we done?
Oh yeah, I can imagine that'd be hilarious.
Let's move on. Okay, so now we've made it to the Northern Air Temple because we're speed running this thing, and that's where we meet this guy. Who is this
random stranger?
Random stranger is like, hi, I'm living here in this air temple all by myself. And Aang's
do you have any food or water?
Yeah, it's okay. I'm blown out.
Again, why? Is there any reason to remove everybody out of there?
Because I don't know. Because
like I said, I don't know.
They can't have fun in this movie. They do something for like 3 seconds here. 3 seconds. I was hopeful because right here he walks into the Temple of Avatars, and I'm like, oh, cool. We're gonna hear from Kyoshi. We're gonna hear from Roku. We're gonna hear from this. No, he's captured. Yeah. This dude was a spy. Fire Nation got. Oh my god. Okay.
Yeah, and I wasn't even happy with the room because in the animated episode, he goes into this dark room where they're all kind of standing in rows like those famous terracotta warriors. And as he's walking in the animated series, he's walking by them, and there was just this air of creepiness around it.
But you know what? They got it partially right, at least. And I think at this point, getting something partially right in this movie is a victory, and I'm going to take it.
Yeah, you're right.
So, and I don't know. We said it during the commentary, but Sokka and Katara disappear for this entire swath of the movie, and you don't even notice. Katara and Sokka disappear for this entire part of the movie, and you don't notice.
It's basically like Luke Skywalker and Han Solo disappearing for a good half of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, that's your main 3 protagonists. Like,
yeah.
I need to be there. But, you know, I'm sure the actors are thankful for being on screen as less than possible at this point.
I know I would be.
What it does, though, seriously, what it does when you cut out those characters for 20 minutes of the film, it diminishes their importance, right?
It does.
And if you're diminishing their importance,
honestly, at this point, the movie's saying we could have done this without Katara and Sokka. This movie could have, because they've contributed nothing. They've contributed absolutely nothing to this film so far, and it's one of those things that either M. Night did not watch the series or he completely misunderstood it. I don't know which. I'm not going to venture a guess. All we have is The Last Airbender, and I think we can both agree that it sucks. It sucks so hard.
Okay, it was released on June 30th. I just got to, because you're talking about how much it sucks. It was released June 30th, 2010, and was theatrically released. Oh, New York City. Okay, yep. The film was largely panned by both critics and fans, with several publications calling it one of the worst films of all time. However, Jason, here's the irony. Produced on a $150 million budget, the film actually grossed $320 million worldwide. This thing made money. This thing made money.
Oh, dear Lord.
Dear Lord.
Oh, no.
Like, you're talking about money poorly spent. All those theater goers.
Oh, no. At least they never, like, made sequels.
Well, it was planned. It was envisioned to be first of the trilogy.
Yes. Yeah. No.
So I had to throw that tidbit in. I mean, my jaw hit the floor when I went, made money?
Yeah. Why? Why did this make money and, like, the Marvels didn't? Marvels was at least good. This one was just...
Last year was a purge of superhero films.
Really
Every superhero film did terrible except for Guardians 3.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Anyway, we're at this point. We hate this movie so much we're starting to talk about Marvel movies.
Yeah. Let's move on because we get our next episode now, and that is the Blue Spirit. The Blue Spirit comes to save Aang.
7 episodes later.
Yeah, the Blue Spirit comes to save Aang. Spoiler alert, it's Zuko. Hey, it's Zuko.
That whole scene with the Blue Spirit, amazing in the animated series. This beautiful fight along a bridge where Aang does this awesome backflip as the Blue Spirit's there trying to defend. Nope, it's just a crappy little bridge with a tunnel.
Yeah, it's just, hey, I'm the Blue Spirit, and I'm I got hit in the head with an arrow.
I got great hair too. It's the hair that bothers me with Dev. It's like, couldn't you at least shave the head?
Would you want to shave your head for this movie? I don't blame him. But yeah, he should have had the top knot and everything. I think that I mean, we've seen the previews for the live action series. Zuko looks awesome in that one.
I read some reviews for it too.
He's got the scar, he's got the top knot. I have too. And I'm pleasantly I'm not going to say pleasantly surprised. My optimism is peaked.
It's hopeful.
I'm hopeful. I want it to be good. I do gotta say, I kind of like the Blue Spirit mask. I kind of like.
It's the 80s hair metal hair that bothers me.
But I still
like it's a perm.
Don't get me wrong. The animated mask is better, but again, if it's a 10th of the way right in this movie, I consider it. I just consider it like a victory.
A victory.
So anyway. The animated series has this wonderful moment where Zuko's been knocked out. Aang takes him to safety, takes him somewhere safe, waits for him to wake up, and says, "My best friend in the world was from the Fire Nation. 100 years ago, do you think you and I could have been friends?" And of course, Zuko tries to blast him. Aang gets away. This movie bungles that whole scene, and it was literally handed to them. They bungle it. And they leave that "we could have been friends" line. They do that almost at the end of the movie, and it just loses all of its punch because I don't know, in the animated series you can just feel Aang's anguish and sadness over what's happened. There it's just like, "We could have been friends." And then he leaves. I just don't get it. But that's okay because Zuko blows up. And I think he's dead. I don't think he's coming back. And that's the end of Zuko. So we get to the North Pole, and
this
scene,
there are slithers, visual slithers that I like.
Yes, again, a lot of my images didn't upload. That's okay because my favorite image did upload.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna say.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna say what it is about this image that makes it stick out so much, but
yeah, she's definitely at attention.
She definitely is.
Very upright and rigid, sitting there very rigidly.
I think that what you said about M Night Shyamalan just trolling Nickelodeon and audiences, I'm beginning to think yes.
You know what? I know it sounds nuts, but he had such an ego. I could see that kind of thought process. I'm going to show him all. I'm going to take something beloved. I'm going to stick my finger up at it.
Pretty much, yeah. I do have a bit of trivia that I have to pass on, and that is about Princess Yue here.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Seychelle Gabrielle. This is not her first. I'm sorry. This is not her last involvement in the Avatar: The Last Airbender um, universe, I guess, because she returns in the spin-off series, The Legend of Korra, and voices the character of Asami. And I know you have no idea who that is, but everyone at home is going, "Ooh, Asami." Asami was great. I'm just
All
gonna
I
say that.
know is, and you've kind of mentioned there, all I know is I hear from people that Legend of Korra is either, I hear you saying spin off, I hear other people saying sequel series. What
It's a
is
sequel
it?
series. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a sequel series spin-off. It's both.
Hmm.
It's the next Avatar after Aang.
Oh, okay. What's the
It
sequel? Yeah, series.
yeah, it
Yeah.
takes place 60 or 70 years later, maybe 80
Oh,
years later.
next
Um,
generation.
pretty much, and it takes the world of Avatar and basically puts it in the 1920s. So now there's like primitive cars and blooming industry.
Cool.
Idea. I will say the first couple of seasons are a mixed bag, but
Uh,
after that, it gets really good.
cool. That just sounds really good.
Oh yeah, I'm really looking forward to revisiting that series because there's a lot of people who don't have nice things to say about it, but I do. I think it's great. So
Mm,
things happen. We jump forward. I would say we jump forward in time, but we don't. We're jerked it forward through time over and over and over again.
mm.
Aang is learning water bending. Here he is
Droplets.
with I don't know what that is. It's like gelatin globs or something. You made the point of saying why doesn't he wear his Avatar costume because M Night Shyamalan. Why? And Sokka and Yue are present. They are in close proximity, and
And that's
so
enough.
yeah, it's enough. They are in close proximity, and apparently that means love is in the air because again, M Night Shyamalan does not understand human emotions. Oy.
Oi, oi, oi.
Everything was fine until the Fire Nation attacked, and I don't know what I don't. Oh, anyway, the Fire Nation shows up. No, they don't. My images are out of order. What the heck?
Okay.
StreamYard.
Okay. It's
StreamYard.
not your fault, mate. It's StreamYard.
Yeah.
StreamYard. But can I just say, I just want to set up those last two episodes of Book One, the animated series, phenomenal. It's like a perfect example of how to do a third act, is right there. It's
Yes.
exciting. It builds up. They intercut between scenes naturally, organically. The stakes are high. And then I went, hang on, I'm not watching the right movie because none of that is here.
No, none of that is here. You get very high emotional stakes in the Siege of the North, Part One and Part Two. One of
Mm,
those is that the relationship between Iroh and Zuko is cemented in those two
mm,
episodes. Whenever Iroh says goodbye to Zuko and says, "I never told you, Uncle. You don't have to say it. Since my own son died, I think of you as my own." And it's such
mm.
a touching moment between two antagonists of the good guys. These are the
I'm
bad
all getting all misty eyed just thinking about that
exactly.
now.
In this one, it's smell you later, Uncle, and that's it.
Yeah, get stuffed.
Yeah, stuff, you old crotchety bat. Uh, yeah, it's just absolutely bereft of any kind of emotion. Not only does M Night Shyamalan strip the fun from this movie, he strips any emotion other than just this
Extreme close ups.
extreme close, extreme
It's
close.
like Wayne's World up. Wayne's World. Extreme close up. Whoa.
Whoa!
That is basically it.
So yeah, the battle with the Fire Nation begins. The siege of the North begun, and
Barely a
Aang
siege.
yeah Aang says I gotta go communicate with the Moon Spirit and find out how to save everyone. And so they take him to the Oasis, the Spirit Oasis, which I gotta say looks nice here.
Yeah,
There
it
we go.
does.
That's
It's,
a nice
yep.
thing I've said about this movie. This
Yep.
set looks really nice. And Aang goes to commune with the moon spirit, who is actually a fish. And Katara won't shut up and let him meditate. It's like, hey, I just have to tell you this and this and this and this. I loved in the cartoon where Aang was like, "I'm trying to concentrate. Will you please shut up?" Here he doesn't even. He doesn't even like respond to her. Um, but out of nowhere, because he snuck into the Northern Water Tribe, Zuko shows up, and he's all like, "Hey," literally answers a question that she asked to herself, because that's how hack writers do. Um,
Mm.
Katara fights him and does
Dude,
not
this is horrible, this
does
scene.
does not hold her own like she does in the cartoon, which I
You
found
know, it's
so incredibly, crushingly disappointing. Is that M Night Shyamalan would not even let Katara have that one thing,
what did you
because if
say in the audio commentary? This is turn-based cinema.
it's
This is
turn-based
like,
combat, like out of an RPG,
ah,
it's like,
it
"Eh,
is
meh,
woeful.
eh,
Yeah, everybody has to wait their turn.
yeah,
And what baffles me, if you watch that scene from the animated series, the storyboard's there for you. Oh, okay, we'll make the water move like this, because it worked. No, we won't do that at all. It was just, I'm going to wet everything down when it comes at me, and then I'll shoot a glob of water at you.
yeah." This is literally that scene from Austin Powers and Goldmember whenever Michael Caine is like, "Okay, now you come and fight me one at a time, and I'll punch you. Now I'll judo chop you, and then you swing at me and I'll miss. Now I judo chop you." Um, just
And meanwhile, the audience feels like Mini-Me in that sack, just getting beaten all over the room.
just so bad. Yeah. Oh, I get angry over the way that Sokka and Katara was treated in this movie. Just the fact that M Night would not let Katara have that one thing, that one shining moment where she bests Zuko and Zuko wins because he fights dirty.
Mm.
Because Katara beat him. Not here. It is just
I think Katara and Sokka are, for M. Night, were a problem and in the way for him.
I think they were, and
They were
honestly,
things that were in the way of the story he wanted to tell. That's why they're served so poorly.
yeah, and
It
honestly,
is an
I
inconvenience for M. Night, these
I kind of
characters.
wish they just left him out of this movie. I think he would have done the characters greater service by just leaving them completely out. Like leaving them at the Southern Water Tribe. I'll go to the north and get trained as an avatar. Wee and bye, I mean Ong.
Yeah. At least Noah
Bye,
Ringer would have had an
bye Moo
opportunity
Moo.
to play the role.
Look out for Zucko. Ugh.
Yeah.
Oh, what is this picture? I didn't even know. Okay. Oh yeah.
Just right, random
Moving on.
pictures.
Incidentally,
Another horrible fight.
I didn't. I'm not going to watch this movie again, but according to IMDb, if you watch this film, there is a Fire Nation soldier who's fighting nothing. So I'm
Yeah,
guessing there was like some
just
bending.
punching air.
Yeah, he's supposed to be punching like water bending or something. And
Wait, did we see that when we did the audio
we
commentary? I'm
might
pretty
have.
sure
I
we
don't
might
know.
comment
We
on that.
have. You probably did. I think I'd love Will to live by that point and just kind of wanted to die a little bit. So lots of things are happening by this point.
And yet
First of
nothing.
all, yeah. Well, first of all, oh yeah, An got kidnapped by
Yeah.
Sokka, and instead of being taken out to the frozen wasteland where nobody can find him, Sokka takes him to what I'm assuming is the Northern Water Tribe's Motel 6, and we just get
Ugh.
this ridiculous scene
Where they could be
where
found at any time. Oh,
yeah,
Jason.
it's like Tom and Jerry at this point.
Oh.
Where Zuko's looking around like this and Aang's behind him, just mirroring his movements. And it is not only does it make Zuko look like a complete idiot, it makes Aang look like a complete idiot as well.
And that's the big problem with the scene.
Yeah.
It doesn't, it services nobody.
Yeah.
Everybody comes off worse. I mean, you make Zuko just annoying. See, this by the time we're at this film, you should hate the character or like him like an anti-hero. You should have some very clear emotions what you think about Zuko at this point. But there's nothing like that. It's just it starts strong because the actor's trying everything he can do. But by the end of the film, it's just an annoying brat. It's just an annoying brat. That's all he is.
And it sucks because Dev Patel is he's an outstanding actor, as we've seen. He is not only great back then, but he's grown so much back then, and he's made some terrific movies, and I can't wait for that movie, man.
Green Knight was great. Monkey
Yeah,
Man looks amazing.
yeah, and he's had so many great movies. This is just crazy, and it just goes to show also how little M Night Shyamalan understood this movie, because this is where we get that line from Aang about we could have been friends. Because he says it to Zuko as he's leaving, as Zuko's frozen in this ice. He just turns around and goes, "We could have been friends," and he leaves. And I'm just like, you have no relationship with this man at all. You have
At all.
seen with him. Now, if they would have had that line after the blue spirit bit, that would have at least made a little bit of sense, because they would have
When he
just
pulled off the mask.
yeah, they would have just
Yeah.
gone through this adventure together. It's like, yeah, we could have been friends. Yeah, no, no, we couldn't have
And
been.
then go,
Right there, it's just we could have been friends. And Dev Patel is just like, what do you mean? We could have been friends. Why? "No, no, we could have been friends. Tell me why we could have been friends. What
Yeah.
part of our relationship would make you think we would be friends?
I'm trying
Jeez,
to
I'm
kill you,
trying to
dude.
be nice. You're being passive aggressive, you little bald jerk. Incidentally, your head stubble is very distracting.
That was my big issue, wasn't it? I just kept straight away. I'm like, come on, man, please put a makeup on the kid's head, like,
Yeah.
you know. And that's it. Like, okay, if you're gonna make a movie that's so off kilter of what the original series is, if you want the audience to come along the ride and be associated with, then you've visually got to represent it correctly. If you're going to change the plot, at least visually represent the franchise correctly. Or you're going to stick to the plot and visually make it different. You do both, we end up with this.
Yeah. Don't end up with this. Don't end up with this. So anyway, Aang escapes and leaves Zuko a Patel sickle. And meanwhile, I don't know what this still is. Let me see what this is. Oh yes,
Oh, yes.
douchebag has captured the moon spirit, because the moon spirit is a fish, and so he has a wet bag. He just has this wet bag, and he's just holding it with this strange reverence. It's like, I'm holding a god in my hand. Oh. And then Zuko's just like, no, Anakin, no. Again, probably
Yeah.
these two actors. But Admiral Douchebag kills the fish.
Yeah.
And it's so traumatic that Eero starts to regenerate like Doctor Who.
Yeah, what is with this all of a sudden?
Okay,
Where
so
does this come from?
I don't know if you heard, but I think they ADR'd in Zhao saying, he can summon fire out of nothing. So this is supposed to be like, I guess this is lightning bending, which we haven't gotten to lightning bending, but in the cartoon, well, we saw it in the first season where Iroh captures the lightning during a storm and redirects it. That's
Yeah.
actually an advanced firebending technique.
Oh,
And so
right.
I'm guessing that this is
Their
their
attempt at
version of
that.
lightning bending, which looks kind of cool, I guess.
So are you telling me that that one of the reasons, now this is what I'm putting together, one of the reasons they decided not to have them shooting natural fire to set up for that scene? Because that's what it seems like now.
That's it.
So the only reason no one else can shoot it because we want to show that as a powerful moment with Eero at the end.
Yeah, and it's not shown as a powerful moment. It's shown as a WTF moment.
Yeah, it's like, this makes no sense.
Why is he regenerating? Is he going to turn into an actor who's better for the part? I mean, what's going on?
Yeah, why are you setting that tree on fire?
Yeah, you're destroying the spirit oasis, my dude. I think you just roasted the other fish.
It's a great example, that scene, of how you take a beautifully written scene that's very emotionally powerful and has consequences and completely strip it of all that. Because that scene in the animated series is really powerful because you've got him, you've got Eero, you've got Captain, like Admiral Douchebag, you've got Eero, you've got the kids there, Zuko and Katara are there, aren't they? The kids are there as well. All three of them are there, sorry.
Are they there? I honestly lost.
No, there's like 5 or 6 in the room when he does what he does. And Eero then immediately, it's like first time in the season, gets emotional and fights back straight away, starts firing at him. And it's really awesome in the anime. Yeah, and then we get the only thing missing with that, they didn't shoot it up top. Him going, no. because it felt
I'm
like that.
afraid that in your anger you killed the moon spirit. No, it was alive. It just no. Okay.
No,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. Speaking of dying, R.I.P. Yue. She takes the
Yeah.
Nestea plunge and gives her life force back to the koi. Incidentally, there was a great moment in the animated series where everything turns black and white except for Yue's eyes. And
Mm.
Iroh looks at her and says, "You were touched by the moon spirit." That was how he knew because her eyes were still colored in. This Iroh has absolutely no idea who Yue is, has never met her, knows nothing about her backstory, but looks at her and says, "You can give the moon spirit back its life. You can do that."
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah,
just
where did he pull that knowledge from?
this. How do you even know? You don't even know her name. Like random girl, jump in water, maybe that fix.
Yeah.
But it
Hey, I
does
don't know
fix.
you, but do you mind giving up your own life for that dead
No, I don't
fish?
know. Yeah, hey, you wanna give up your life? Give up your life, old man. Oh my god.
That's right.
I have to go style my hair to look like a phallus. Um, so yeah, UA RIP UA. We'll see you in the Legend of Korra. Um, Zhao by this point has run away because he is a very weak bad guy. But he is met by Zuko, who
Yep.
again has a character moment robbed from him.
Yeah.
In the animated series, Zhao is captured by Kaiju Aang, who, spoiler alert, does not show up in this movie because they didn't have the budget. Or either that or M. Night was like, "That's stupid. I don't want to do that. I just do a tidal wave, just like the Abyss. Have you seen the Abyss? Have you seen the Abyss? Wasn't the Abyss wonderful?" Um, so he in the cartoon, Zhao is picked up by Avatar by the Kaiju Aang. Zuko tries to save him because Zuko's not a bad person. He's just got different agendas than our heroes do. Here, no. Zuko is going to fight him. Iroh says, no, don't do it. And they don't fight. And instead, Admiral Douchebag is killed by random waterbenders.
The
Yeah, uh,
dumbest death I
I
have
don't,
seen.
I don't have the words to even begin to express the absolute asinine downgrading of this scene.
Not
And
only
what
that, Jason, I'm watching going,
the
how did he
fuck?
die though?
He
Did he
drowned, I guess.
drown? Yeah, because that's the only way he's dying from those
Yeah,
cute little water tentacles they're throwing at him.
yeah. Terrible, terrible. I wanted to see Kaiju Aang, but instead of Kaiju Aang, we get, admittedly, kind of a cool shot. Okay, there's the
Oh,
third nice thing I've said about this movie so far, and I feel dirty about it.
I hate the head
Aang,
tattoo.
yeah, the tattoo's not great, but whenever
That's
it's lit, it
awful.
doesn't look
It's
bad.
like
It
a
does not look
doily.
bad. Yeah, it
Like
does
someone
look like
cut in an arrow out of a doily.
yeah. See, now I can never unsee it. Thank you. But it's okay. Like I
Yeah.
said, I can't wait to never
Some
watch.
grandmother had a kettle on that at some point.
So Aang has this weird flashback to his, I don't want to say childhood, but to the century ago, whenever he was still at the Air Temple, and it contributes nothing to the plot. It contributes nothing to his character development. It's almost like this is supposed to be important, and we, the audience, is watching it saying, "Why? How is this important? I don't get it." But apparently, it was to gather the strength to do this, to create a tidal wave to get the Fire Nation to turn around and go away. We said this during the commentary. Why couldn't the waterbenders in the Northern Water Tribe do that themselves? Because you have dozens of them. They all could have gone and made a tidal wave
In
themselves.
fact, you probably point me. Didn't a few of them were doing that kind of half successfully in the animated series?
Maybe I
Weren't they
don't know.
pushing water back and forward? I'm
Oh
sure some of the
yeah.
protectors were. Yeah, so
Well,
they were kind of doing it.
even Katara was like that. This is an elementary waterbending move. Look at the way I make waves in the water. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's like, oh no, you don't have it. That's the thing about this movie that I just don't get is that the Fire Nation's been nerfed. They can't make fire,
Mm.
and they are going towards a society literally built on water that can be controlled by waterbenders. All the waterbenders would have had to have done was make it rain.
Exactly. You know, the other
Why
thing is,
not?
or blow out all the candles, all the torches and lanterns they had. They blew
Yes.
them all out. Nobody had anything to
Yeah.
use against them.
It's a full
Right.
moon. You can see.
But that wave, Jason, the wave stands still at one point.
Yes.
I don't get the wave. What is he going to do with the wave? Because he doesn't really do anything with the wave.
I guess he's
There's
just
a
trying to
threat.
scare them. I don't know.
Maybe.
I just.
Maybe.
But then we get this really cool action sequence, and I'm being totally sarcastic because this action sequence is friggin' terrible.
Yeah.
Just horrible CGI special effects. Of Aang just going through and bending water and smacking up the firebenders who aren't firebending, by the way, because they don't get any fire. And the whole thing looks terrible. And I was told by people who saw it in theaters that this is where the 3D conversion that Nickelodeon
It was
forced
all
on
the rage back then, wasn't it? Yeah.
yeah, the 3D conversion apparently like completely looked like cardboard cutouts during the scene. They said it looked so bad. I've never seen this movie in 3D, so I can't say, but I'm just gonna I believe I believe it looked terrible. The movie looks terrible in 2D.
But that shot that you just put up, look at the way it's framed though. You're in a middle action scene and you've got a wide shot happening there.
Well, they were zooming
at
in
a
and
low
out
angle.
Yeah, they were zooming
Yeah,
in and out
then you
because, M Night
and then you're
Shyamalan
going-
had seen 300 at this point.
That's it. Zack Snyder. He's clearly ripping off Zack Snyder. You know?
The
It's
good news is
horrible,
we have
horrible
left to go
action
and we're
scene.
done. Okay, so everyone bows to Aang because he is the Avatar, and of course, Aang looks like he had Taco Bell. And
I need toilet paper.
whenever he bent over to bow, he trusted a fart that he shouldn't have trusted.
It
And
was a
now
bit of a shot.
now he's worried that everyone's going to notice. Which Aang, I'm sorry, you're an airbender. Just put it back in.
Yeah. Well, hey, he's a waterbender too. He cleaned himself up.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
doesn't need a boudoir. Like,
everyone look that way for a minute. He has to do this. He has to do this huge dance.
Okay. The feels basically. He's doing Vogue more than anything now. He's
Exactly.
doing Vogue.
I would have been a terrific waterbender in this movie.
If I had seen this movie, I never would have agreed to do this show. This is how bad this movie is.
This movie
because it would have said,
horrid.
I'm not spending the next few weeks watching an animated version of this. There is no way we would have done the show.
I would have forced you. I would.
Yeah, because I just would have said,
I would.
You've just made me watch the worst film I think I've seen in 20 years. You now want me to talk about the animated version of it?
You would have been sitting in your office doing whatever you do, and there would have been a knock at the door. Oh, crocky, what is that? Door open. Me standing there. VHS tapes. Guess what we're watching? Crocky, how did you get here? Look out for the
But you can understand. Not only did it disservice the franchise, what I'm getting at is it did damage to the franchise. Because I'm telling you, I wouldn't have been alone. I bet you there was a ton of people went and saw this movie and their friends go, oh, no. The animated series is better. And they would have gone, I don't care. I don't care. I'm not watching it because of this.
Yeah. We got to talk about one more poor actor here at the very end. Yeah. And I need to find this actress's name.
Okay.
She needs
Give me the character. I've got them all here.
Summer Bashil.
Playing Princess Azula.
Playing Princess Azula. Now, I know you have not seen the second season yet. Princess Azula is a very important character in the second and third season. She's probably one of the best villains of all time. This poor actress, Summer Bashil, I believe is what her name was.
Bashil, yeah.
I can only imagine her excitement of being cast as possibly one of the greatest, just straight up villains of all time. Because she's a villain. She doesn't have redeeming features. She's not going to go through a giant character arc. She's just a straight up villain and she wants to kill everyone. And she's psycho. She's absolutely psycho. She's such a fun character. But I can just feel her excitement. Like, I'm here. I'm a Zulu. This is going to be the best thing to happen in my career. You're on screen for 5 seconds, and that's it. That's it.
They are setting you up, okay, Luke Skywalker Force Awakens style, but there's nothing else there afterwards. Is
Yeah,
there?
except in this case, M Night Shyamalan threw the script over his shoulder and farted and walked away. Like, there's your
No,
airbender.
that scene, I know she's a sister. It was set up quite well at the end of the animated series, that who she is and what she's going to be doing. And I'm sorry if that's a spoiler, but if you're watching this, I don't think you really care.
Yeah,
about
if you're watching this right, just she
So
went
she
on
was
to
set
have a
up.
pretty, yeah, she went on to have a pretty good career after this. She has been in iZombie, Law and
Oh, yeah.
Order.
Yep.
She before this, she was in quite a lot of stuff. Still acting as of 2022.
Great,
So,
good on her.
and she is in a television series called The Deli, which is currently in post production. So her career survived. And
Thankfully.
unlike our friend Noah, she did not nope out and run away. Again, no, I don't. I would have too. I don't blame you one bit, my friend.
Yeah. Well, we did miss out. Did you know who the voice of the dragon spirit was?
Who was the voice?
Oh, the great John Noble from Fringe
Yes,
and
from
Return of the
Fringe.
King.
Yes, and Star Trek Prodigy.
Star Trek Prodigy, of course.
The Diviner.
So,
Where is my ship?
I'm sure this is not something he puts on his list of achievements when his resume's out there.
I don't think I would either. There was. Let me see if I can find it because I had a really cool trivia. First of all, Michael Dante DiMartino and Brian Conaziso, I'm going to mispronounce this name, Conaciso, the creators of the show, did serve as executive producers and were initially very supportive of the film's production. However, both of them were very unsatisfied with the movie as they should have been. He said they didn't want it done at all. He said we didn't want it, and if it was going to be done, we wanted to do it, and they wouldn't let them. So they were not happy. Their name is on the.
You got to get credit for it.
Oh boy, I can't find the thing here, and this is so.
Either way, this film changed lives.
It did. Oh, here we go.
People.
There was one cast member from the animated series that did reprise their role for this movie.
Who?
D. Bradley Baker returned to do the voices of Appa and Momo.
Oh, great.
So he got his paycheck. He got paid for it. And he
Big
has
Belly Breaker rocks.
He has the honor of having the best dialogue in the movie.
He's just amazing. Well, either way, like I was saying, this movie changed lives in a bad way, didn't it? I mean, it changed the director's life. It changed the trajectory of a lot of actors that were in it. I'm pretty sure Dev Patel, who's had an amazing career since this movie, choices that he made were influenced by his experience being part of this big franchise. So yeah, it goes down. You think of some horrible movies that have come out in the last 20 years. There's a lot of them, including 2012, which I think is absolute garbage and things like that. This is probably
disaster movie.
Yeah, I hate that movie.
You remember what we were talking about the other day?
Yeah, is that one?
That's the one.
Okay,
that's the
I hate
one
that
right
movie.
There.
It's stupid.
That movie is the best comedy I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, if you're talking about ironically, I can go with that. But if you're legit going, it's a good movie.
I think it was written to be a comedy, but we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about that.
Either way, this is one of the worst films I've seen in 20 years. It is an embarrassment. Yes, we've seen a lot of movies that are worse, but they're cheaper. Nothing at this scale should have ever been allowed to be released to theaters. And it was also, I reckon, in the time, Jason, around the late 2000s, where we were getting a lot of this. Let's just make it a franchise because franchises make money. And, yeah.
At least they all weren't going for the shared cinematic universe at that point. I mean, we could have very well and easily had the Nickelodeon shared cinematic universe.
My God. They run into the wild thornberries on the way.
Yeah, the Last Airbender, the wild thornberries, the Rugrat, the Angry Beavers all meeting in one cinematic universe. It might not have been Azula at the end. It might have been, the cloak comes up and going, "I will kill the Avatar, that idiot."
Yeah, crazy stuff. This is garbage. I'll never watch this again. It's kind of like doing this show's kind of like being in an abusive relationship at this point right now, because everything started off well. It was a great honeymoon period. We've settled in. We've moved in together at this point, and then the abuse has started with this. So
Yes.
I'm hoping moving forward past this diabolical garbage that the Netflix series will bring us back to the joy that we experienced in all these previous episodes.
Well, I certainly hope so, because on the very next episode of Breaking Wind, the Last Avatar podcast, we are going to begin looking at episodes from the live action Netflix series, which I can guarantee you will be better than M Night Shyamalan's The Last Airbender. If it just has Aang coming out holding up a sign that says wind blowing, going, it will still be better than this movie. I'm looking forward to it. I am very hyped from the previews. I'm very hyped from the word of mouth. Trying not to get my hopes up too high, because I've also been told it is good, but not as good as the animated series, which I wasn't expecting it to be as good. But I'm hopefully optimistic, and we will be doing we're going to be doing a reaction to the entire series on If You Don't Agree, You're Wrong. And then on Breaking Wind, we're going to be talking about the individual episodes. I don't know. Maybe we'll do two every show. I don't know. We'll see. We'll do whatever we feel like. Just
Exactly.
shut up and
But I'm really excited because 22nd, is it 22nd or 23rd of this month? It's this
the
week.
25th.
25th. Okay, it's this week still. The day when this, and I think that's a Sunday here in Australia. I think if it's, mate, wipe me out for the day, because I'm not talking to anyone. Don't want to, really even eat. I just want to watch this series in total. I've fallen in love with the series. I've fallen in love with the characters, So,
That's why this movie hurts so bad.
mate, and that's the thing. I'm so glad you timed it this way, though, because if this was my last experience and I had to wait another 3 months for the series, I don't know what that would have done to my love of Avatar. But thankfully, I've watched 20 episodes of one of the best animated series, one of the best. Yeah, I'm excited to see where the series is. It's so fortuitous, Jason, if you think about it. The conversation we have, and you went, "You've never seen Avatar: The Last Airbender?" And then the way we time it out was genius. And now we're landed right in the lap.
I was quite smart.
Yeah, well, also like opportunistic, I would say as well.
No, I use the word opportunistic, because I will be completely honest. Whenever I said you've never seen Avatar, I said, well, we should do a podcast, because we're going to be opportunistic and time it out before the live action series comes along. We're going to ride that train to views on YouTube.
Yeah. So do that for us, guys. Please do the views on YouTube. Also, guys, if you are one of the few people who not only listen to the audio commentary, but also watch this episode, mad respect. You're suffering with us, and we appreciate it.
You're just enjoying watching us suffer. In which case, you horrible people. Horrible people.
You need to tell people how they can suffer more with you. How do they do that?
You can just watch my wonderful channel here. It is the Jason Roy Gaston YouTube channel, the channel that you are watching right now. There we go. Please like, subscribe, and hit that notification icon to be notified for videos that are coming your way, to be notified by. Hey, it's like I just wrote an M Night Shyamalan script. Also, if you could be so kind and wish to fund this channel, you can do so for as little as $5 a month. And you can do that by visiting the link in the description below to become a Patreon. And if you do that, not only do you get exclusive videos, not only do you get feet pics, I wasn't supposed to say that part out loud, but you also get weird, stupid things that I find fun. And everyone else seems to think they're fun too. Get that look off your face. Exactly what I'm talking about.
Let's end this. Enough trauma is enough trauma.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, be sure to join us next week or whenever you can. It's probably not going to be next week. It's probably going to be delayed a few days, and we'll probably not do this on the. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Just join us next time here on Breaking Wind, a Last Avatar podcast. Now, M Night
Oh,
Shyamalan 3. Jeez Louise.
ugh.
I I think
I've
I
had
would rather
violent diarrhea that was better than that film.
I would rather clean every bathroom in Dallas Cowboys Stadium with my tongue without the benefit of mouthwash than watch that movie again.